Hey guys, in this video we will look at loops in Python. We will be looking at what are looping statements, why do we need them, and how do we implement this in Python. In the last video we learned about the different kind of statements in Python. If you haven't watched that, please check the link in the description. Okay, so we looked at selection statements, we looked at sequential statements, we also looked at looping statements briefly. What are looping statements? Whenever I want to execute a bunch of statements or just one statement, if I want to execute it multiple times, I will have to use a loop. So first we will look at a real life example where a process is being done in multiple times so that you will understand this concept better. So you know how to make chapatis, right? So when I want to make one chapati, so first I will knead the dough and then make it into a chapati. Then I'll put it into the pan and then I will serve it in a plate. So this is a 3-stage process and this is for one chapati. Now what should I do for 2 chapatis? Same thing 2 times. So first this will be for one chapati and this is for the second chapati. Suppose if I want to make 3 chapatis, how will I do that? So you'll make the first chapati, the second chapati, and the third chapati. So you can see this process, these 3 steps are happening again and again and again. So instead of these 3 steps, think of these 3 steps as 3 statements in Python. And I want to repeat it multiple times. So then I will be using a loop. So in this case, I just wanted it once. So I'll just use once. For this, I won't need a loop. But when I have more and more, like 2 times, then I want to execute it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, I will require a loop. Now let us imagine there is a chapati making machine. So the first input you are going to give this machine is the number of chapatis that needs to be made. So in the beginning itself, you will tell make 3 chapatis or make 4 chapatis, something like that. And the second input will be what all are the steps you have to do to make this chapati. Okay, so you give these 2 and you will get your result. So if you had asked for 3 chapatis, you will get 3. If you had asked for 4, you will get 4. Just give it the number of chapatis and the steps you need to make that chapati. Same way, instead of the chapati making machine, think of it as loops. So the first input will be either you will give a condition after which the loop should not execute, or you can give the number of times I should execute this loop. So these are 2 different ways. We'll look at it in detail. The second input will be the statements, the sequence of statements that has to be executed in the loop. So I think now you will be able to correlate the loops with the chapati example. Now every time I'm executing a loop, so if I'm executing it once, it's called the first iteration. If I'm executing it the second time, it's called the second iteration. So this is of 2 types. So we have the definite iteration and you have the indefinite iteration. So what is the difference between the 2? So in definite iteration, in the beginning itself, you are going to define how many times this loop should run. 6 iteration means the loop should only run 6 times. So beginning itself, you are defining how many times the loop should run. So the other one is the indefinite iteration. So in indefinite iteration, you will have a condition and every time the loop will keep checking this condition. Whenever the condition is true, it will execute. If the condition is false, it will not execute. So an example of definite iteration is the for loops and indefinite iteration will be the while loop. So now we will start with the while loop. Once you enter the while loop, you will encounter a condition. If this condition is true, you will execute these statements. And again, you will go back, check the condition. If it's true, you'll execute the statement. So this is a repetitive process. Unless the condition is false, then you will exit the while loop. Okay. So what is the syntax for this? You have to use the while keyword Then you have to put your condition here, and then you have to put your statements below this. Now notice the indentation, it's indented to the right. This is similar to the if and elif that we looked at earlier. This is basically signifying that these statements belong to the while loop. Now let us look at an example. So this program is to print hello 3 times using a while loop. I'll ask you a question. Is there a way to print hello without using the while loop? We did this earlier. Yes. So you can use the replication operator and you can print hello 3 times. There won't be spaces between the hello. So that you will get it as one single string. But here it's not like that. You will have hello repeated 3 times, one after the other. So how will this happen? So this is my program here, and we will go step by step to understand this program better. So first we see the statement count is 0. Then while count is less than 3. So now you can see this is the while keyword and this is the expression. So what is the expression checking? It's checking if 0 is less than 3. Is it true? Yes. So you will get inside the while loop and it will print hello. After this, you're still in the while loop. So you'll go down and you will increment count to 1. So 0 plus 1, count becomes 1. So what happens? Count. So now, will it go outside? No. It will still go back again and check this condition. So now count is 1 and it checks if 1 is less than 3. Then it will print hello. It is true, so it will print hello and count equal to count plus 1. Again it goes back. Now count is 2 and it will check if 2 is less than 3. Yes, that is true, so it will go and print hello. And then again count equal to count plus 1. So what is the value of count now? It is 3. So you'll go back again and you're going to check 3 is less than 3. Is this true? No, it is false. So what happens? You will immediately come outside the loop. Okay, so you will no longer look at this loop, you are outside and you will start executing. If you have any statement outside the while loop, you will start executing that. Okay. Now, till now, we saw that the entire body of the loop is being executed in each and every iteration. But you have 2 keywords that will stop you from doing that. So you saw that earlier, whenever the condition becomes true, all the statements in the while loop is being executed. But we do have 2 keywords which will prevent all the statements from being executed. So what are those 2 keywords? You have the break keyword and then you have the continue keyword. So you have while and assume you have some expression here. So suppose, let us say it has become true. So now you'll get inside this while loop, you'll execute statement 1, you'll execute statement 2. So now what happens? You see a break. What does break do? It immediately jumps out of this loop and leaves the loop and comes to a statement 5 which is outside the loop. So now you will no longer be present in the loop. So the moment you see a break statement, you will just jump out. The statement 3 which is below break will not be executed. Only within the loop it won't be executed. You see statement 5 is also after break, but it's not within the while loop. So that is why it is being executed. Whereas statement 3 is within the while loop and it's after break, so it will not be executed. Now let us look at continue. So here, let us assume this expression is true. So you will execute statement 1, statement 2, and then you see continue. So what happens when you see continue? Your control will go back to the top. In this case, the control went below, out of the loop, whereas here it will go to the top. So you see that statement 3 is not being executed in this case as well. Let us look at an example of a program where we are using break statement. So the same program with the same print hello program, but except there's a break in between. So what happens? You have count is 0. 0 is less than 3. That is true. So you will go and print hello. Then you see a break. Now what happens? Will the next statement be executed? No, it will not. The moment you see a break, you will come outside the loop. That's it. You will just jump out of the loop and hello gets printed only once. Now let us look at an example for continue statement. So here the same program except we have a continue in the middle. So you have count is 0, 0 is less than 3, and then you print hello. Then you see continue and the control goes back to the top. So then what happens? So again it checks if 0 is less than 3. Why is this checking 0 less than 3 again? Because we never did this. We never did count equal to count plus 1. We didn't even see the statement. The moment we saw continue, we went back up. So this will check 0 is less than 3. It will be true. Now can you see that this loop will never stop? Because the condition says count is less than 3. And in this case, you see that you're never going to this statement. You keep coming to continue and then you go back again. You see continue, go back again. So you can see that you're not incrementing count at all. Your count always remains 0 and 0 is always less than 3. So you'll always be true and so it'll just keep repeating infinitely. So this is called an infinite loop. Now we will look at a variation of while loop which is called the while else loop. So while else loop, you have while, the same thing. You will have the while keyword, you have to put your expression and then you have to put the statements that come under the while loop. But other than this, you also have an else with the statement too. So what is this actually? Basically what happens, your else will be executed whenever your condition becomes false in while. So first you're checking the condition. If it's true, you will execute statement 1. And then again you will check the condition. If it's true, you'll execute statement 1. Once the condition is false, it goes to else and it executes statement 2. Now you will think, what is the difference between this and this? Because even this, once the while loop becomes false, you're going to execute statement 2. So what is the difference between these two? Why do we need an extra else? So we learned that you can get outside the loop by using break statements. We learned that you can use a break statement and you can jump out of the loop. In this case, if I had a break statement, the statement 2 will get executed. But here, the statement 2 won't get executed if it's a break. So this whatever comes under else will only get executed if the while is not terminated because of break, but it's actually terminated because the condition became false. Whereas in this case, whether the condition is false or if your while terminated because of a break, your statement 2 will execute in both the cases. So we will look at an example now. So here you can see count is 0, count is less than 3. You will print hello, count equal to count plus 1. So this is the basic program where you're printing hello 3 times. After that what happens? It goes to else and it will print hi. What happens here? Suppose if I'm putting a break statement inside this, will this else be printed? So count is 0, you'll print hello, you see break and you jump out of the loop. Will print hi happen? No, it will only show the output as hello. Next we will be looking at the definite iteration example, which is the for loop. So for loop is used whenever I want to iterate through a iterable. So iterable is something that you can iterate through. Like for example, list, a string, a tuple, all these are data types through which you can iterate. Means I can go from the first element to the second element to the third element to the fourth element in a list. You have the for keyword and then you have var. var is not a keyword. You can use anything you want. You can use any letter I, J, k. In is also a keyword, and iterable will be your list. So instead of iterable, you can put a list, you can put a tuple or a string. In the beginning, you won't be able to understand this, but when we look at examples, you will understand this better. Suppose I have a list. So I'll start with the first item in the list and I'll execute the bunch of statements. Then I'll go to the next item and I'll execute the statements. The third item and I'll execute the statements. Now these statements, usually it will either be, say, print the item itself, or it will be some operation on each of the item on the list. Once you reach the end of the list, that is if there are no more items left to visit, you will exit the for loop. Here you can see this is a list and you have X, Y and Z. And now we are going to iterate through this list using the for loop. So here we are using the keyword for, and then var is not a keyword, but I and in is a keyword. So for var in list 1. So for every var you are going to print var. So let's see how this works. First your var is X. So that means you're pointing to the first item in the list. You will go and print this element. After this you'll go back and then you'll go to the next item in the list, which is Y. And then you'll come down and you will print this Y. After that you'll go to the list again, go to the next item, and now var becomes Z. And then you will print Z. So now that is the end of the list and you can no longer go to the next item, because when you go back and you check, you see here the list is over. You have finished all the items in the list. So then it will come out of the for loop. So now you can use for loops with this range function. Earlier we used to iterate through each and every element. So you can iterate using an index also. Instead of putting for var in list 1, here var is X. Suppose if I want to print the indices of the elements, so then I can use something called range function. So I can use the index to iterate through the list. So here you can see, so for loop, here you will have for I in range. So here you have to specify your start and then your stop, and this is step. So this is similar to list slicing and string slicing, where you have to specify your start index, stop index and step, and then it will print the statements. So in this case I've said for I in range 3, 0 and -1, and it will print I. So first it will go, I will be 3, it will print 3 and it will become I equal to I -1, because it goes back here and it goes one step behind because it is -1. By default it will be +1. If you want to make +2, -1 or -2, you have to specify it. Now I has become -1. So you've done 3 - 1 here. So now I is 2. So what happens when you go into the loop? You will go and print this 2. Again you will go back and I becomes 1. And then you will print 1. Now there is this enumerate function which can be used along with the for loop. Suppose in a list, I just don't want to print only the elements. I also want to print the index. So I want to print the index, I want to print the element as well. So how do I do that? I will use the enumerate function. So here you can see you have a list with A, C, Z as the elements, and I will say for key and value in enumerate list 1. So first key will be 0, value will be 1, value will be A. So it will print 0A and then it will go up again and then it will print. So it will go up, go to the next element and the index is 1 with C. Again it will go back and it will see the next element, the index is 2 and the value is Z. So it will print 2 and Z. We will now go to the Python shell and we will try out a few questions. We'll also try this out so you can see how the output comes. Now first we will start with the enumerate example that we looked at earlier. So let me say I have a list which has A, B, C, and I want to print the index as well as the element of this list. So I'll use the enumerate method. Now see, it is highlighted in a different color, and then I'll put the iterable that I want to enumerate. So which is this? In this case it is list 1, and then I'll say print index and element. Now you can see the index as well as the element is printed. Now here I will show you an example of for else, which is similar to while else. So I will iterate through the list using the range function. So for I in range length of list 1. So here you can notice I have not specifically put 0 here as the start index, because that is by default it is 0. So you just have to mention the stop index. Even the step you don't have to mention, because by default it is 1. Now every time you have to print list 1 of I, and if list 1 of I equal to B, then you can break out of the loop. Else, now let's see if this else gets printed. It should not get printed. Hi. So you can see the else does not get printed. It just prints A and B. Suppose I don't have a break, does it get printed? Let's see that. Here hi gets printed. So this is why we use else. Okay, now I'll show you how you can modify elements in a list using a for loop. We'll have a list L which has 8, 9, 6, and I want to reduce 1 from each of these numbers. So for I in range len of L of I equal to L of I minus 1. Now if I print L, I'll get 7, 8, 5. That is, I have subtracted 1 from every element in the list. Now you need not just use a for loop just for a list. You can use it even for printing string elements. So if I have a string apple, and if I want to print every character in the string, you can see it prints A, P, P, L, E. So it can print each and every character. So that's all for the session. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.